lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. And the lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
I hope you're ready. This is going to be exciting. green flag is out and underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
From Atlanta Motor Speedway, the Glove Station ARCA Series is ready to get it on right here in the Peach State. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to to the Glove Station ARCA Series from Sim Racing Media. All of a sudden tonight, I suddenly can't speak as I'm watching everything rocking and rolling here. Goat Locker Racing presented to you on Sim Racing Media. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, making us a part of your evening. We've got a lot to cover tonight in a short period of time. 80 laps to scheduled distance right here, and we'll be with you through it all, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. Dave Regal and Mr. Jordan Brockel with you in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. Buddy, listen, all of a sudden, it's like I developed, a complete inability to speak. Maybe I smelled burnt toast, and this was the beginning of the stroke that's going to finally get me.
No, I think you've just been around me too long when I try to speak and I start doing the when I try to call things. So I think you've been around me too long, buddy.
And sober. But here's the thing, man. We're here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Qualifying is underway. All of the drivers, literally everybody but about 2 drivers is doing their qualifying right now. This league doesn't mess around, so we won't mess around either tonight. 80 laps to scheduled distance, 4 sets of tires, 2 green-white checker attempts, and a fast repair in their pocket to get through here around this 1.5 mile classic raceway. Of course, we have to remember that we're at Classic Atlanta this week. We are not at the new repaved tiny super speedway. This is where we're going to see a really cool bump going between, the front stretch and turn 1. We're going to see all kinds of slip sliding coming out of 2 and 4. This is the kind of racing that I feel like Atlanta has been known for, not the tiny super speedway iteration that we've been watching the last 2 years now. But this will be the 3rd season in a row that the Glove Station ARCA Series is coming to Atlanta. This is the first time that they go old school with the 2008 configuration. Last March, Ryan Pendleton led 15 laps and survived a caution fest to bring home the checkered flag. In December, the first race in the round of 8, Jake Ellingson, Eddie Smith, and Chance Taylor finished within 0.07 of a second of one another in overtime, and Rusty Rafferty won the AM division and clinched a championship 4 spot with a top 5 finish. Last week at Vegas, Eddie Smith and Jeremiah Holt got their first wins of the season, and let's talk about that, because I'll tell you what, the AM drivers week after week have been, to me at least, they're putting the fear of God into some of these pro drivers. I mean, Jeremiah Holt gets his first AM win of the season. He moves on to the leaderboard there. And, Jeremiah Holt now goes into 2nd position on our points. We'll talk about that in just a moment. He, of course, was joined with Devin Smith and Chris Sawyer. And, I'm telling you that maybe this is the week. We were talking about it before as we were checking the roster and looking at all of our graphics. There were only 7 pro drivers, and everybody else in the field, at least on the roster, is listed as an AM driver. What do you think that means for these pro drivers? Are we going to start to see some of these AM drivers transition to the pro side, Jordan, or do you think that we're going to just see these guys have to start beating up on the pros?
Well, I certainly think that some of these guys are going to eventually transition over. I know Jeremiah Holt, even though he's only got one win on the season, it's kind of surprising that it's only one win because he's always in that top 5, top 3 spot throughout a majority of races. Just a couple run-ins here and there that tend to get in his way to cost him a win or so. And it's the same thing with Eddie Smith, over on the pro side, where when we were talking to him last week, it kind of felt weird. They were saying your first win, because certainly, with how dominant he's been up front with, alongside Christopher Morris Jr., you expect them both to have 3-4 wins, even though we're only 6 races in. So.
And that being said, we also want to look at our Pro Division winner. Of course, bringing back the old Family Channel logo was Eddie Smith, and he was joined on the podium by Michael McCarthy and Dan Cunningham. And, the Pro Division starting to heat up as well. And before we turn the page, we've got about 30 seconds left in qualifying. We want to take a look at our points this season. And we take a look at the Season 3 standings after 6 races. Now, Chris Morse, Eddie Smith, and Andy Kurtz, they've all got wins in the Pro Division. David Calvert, Jeremiah Holt, Alan Smith, and Cliff Adams, you can say they have wins. So in the AM division, the question becomes, does Chris Morris and David Calvert start really just notching, marks on their bedpost, or do we start to see those other drivers in these ranks start to notch that win and get ready for the playoffs? As qualifying has wrapped up here, we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We, of course, want to thank our good friends over at Jam Printing for sponsoring our poll award, as Chris Morse going to be our Jam Printing poll winner. As we get one graphic out of the way, we get the other up here, moving way too fast, perhaps at the speed of light. Of course, our poll award is sponsored by Jam Printing and Promotions. Out of Plainfield, Indiana, we are local and veteran certified, and when we do well, we can do more good in the community. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They have been with Gokalaka Racing since the very beginning, and they provide GLR with all promotional items, including shirts, hats, decals, dog tags, you name it. Jam is GLR's go-to promotional company, and they, of course, sponsor our poll award every week. And let's take a look at that starting lineup, as we want to thank our friends over there over at Jam Printing and Promotions for sponsoring the poll award. As we get ready to roll, Chris Morse, he wins that poll award that we had just mentioned. He's going to start off here on the front row with Jake Ellingson on the outside. Jeremiah Holt and Jonah Colbert, they're going to be in row number 2, while Andy Kurtz and Casey Jones will hold things down in row 3. Row 4 features Devin Smith and Brandon Wallace and Devin Smith, as Brandon Wallace is going to have that 99 machine to the inside here. Devin Smith here against the wall, while Chris Adams in the 98 and Timothy Wilmus are going to round out your starting top 10. Jamie Libke, who you folks got to see last night in the Sunday Night Truck Series, he's going to be starting on the inside of row number 6, while row 7 is going to be held down by Matt Knights. And, of course, one of our winners last week, Eddie Smith. Warren Clayton and Dakota Cole, they're going to be in row number 8, while row 9 is going to be held down by Chuck Pegleg Feltz and Josh Unger. Ryzen Baker and Brett Bieber are going to be in row number 10. Brett Bieber picking up a lot of experience last night in the Truck Series, with Skylar Daly and Ricky Sisk Jr. in row number 11. Brian Frauheiger and Sean Pope McCarthy in row 12. And starting shotgun on the field tonight, going to be Alan Smith, starting back here in 25th position. 25 drivers scheduled to take the green flag tonight. Let's get ready to rock and roll. What do you say, partner?
I'm ready to get rolling here, especially with this old Atlanta. It's going to be, rough and tough. This older surface is going to, have these cars all over the place, and it's going to be fun. I mean, it's not terribly hot. It is 92 degrees on track, so it's not going to have a ton of grip, especially with that old racing surface. So I think we're in for a absolute show tonight.
Yeah, I certainly don't disagree. That's for sure. As the iRacing.com pace car brings us here into turns 3 and 4, as these drivers are just starting to get themselves lined up and ready to roll. All 25 of them set to rock. The iRacing.com pace car lights are out. That means that we will be getting ready to throw that checkered flag as we come out of turn number 4, folks. The only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab your honey buns and settle in. Race fans, it's show time! Green flag in the air, and off we go. Chris Morse Jr. with control of the field as the green flag waves. Jeremiah Holt, your top running AM driver, already in 3rd position where he had qualified. It's going to be a busy night here in the Peach State.
Yeah, I want to say through turns 1 and 2, you could already see some guys running that high line. It was Eddie Smith. He's already dropped back down to the low line, just slicing and dicing through the field.
Now that I've got 17 thoughts trying to escape my mouth at once, it's like trying to drink water out of a fire hose.
Yeah, you see Eddie Smith again way up high, running that high line.
Oh, jeez.
Trying to carry all that momentum off the corner as he does into the inside of the 24 of Smith now.
Eddie Smith says, don't stain your ride, use Tide, as he's got the 87 Tide machine just behind Cliff Adams. We go on board here with Cliff Adams looking out the rear.
Jeremiah Holt had
hold
a
up
little bit of an issue there.
The Goldsboro, North Carolina native Cliff Adams having to let Eddie Smith on by as they are 3 wide now. The 34 in the middle. Watch Casey
Look at
Jones.
that run.
Oh,
And it gets
we are going to see a mess here. Look how these drivers are incredible. Oh, what a run. The 31's got to check up behind the 27. Jake Ellingson slow in front of him. The 98 nearly over-rotated. Brought it back under control. Watch the 34 now of Casey Jones as we're going to go here on the front stretch. The 86 now of Timothy Wilmots. He kisses a little bit of wall in the Save 22.vet machine, and now taking it 3 wide again is Casey Jones for reasons I don't quite understand.
Eddie Smith side by side taking the lead just for a moment over Christopher Morris. If he has that drive that he has been getting off that corner, he's going to have a lot of momentum and be able to project himself into that lead here. See if he can lead this lap. It looks like he's going to be just short.
Chris Morse trying to retain his lead in the finger-licking good number 81 machine. The 81 and the 87 doing battle down the backstretch. 31.22 seconds for Eddie Smith as he hauls the mail down here into turn number 3.
Yeah, Eddie Smith is already up in just, less than 5 laps. He's up 13 positions, takes over the race lead now. And that's just a dominant performance for the first opening laps here.
6 laps in the books, and we have seen all kinds of incredible racing already tonight. We want to thank everybody for tuning into the YouTube.com live chat. Sophie Markakis saying good evening, everyone. Rusty Rafferty and Gray Cross saying the same. Ayo from Gray Cross. At least here in Philly, that's Ayo.
I thought you were going Razor Ramon. And going,
No.
Hey,
Maybe. In Philly, if a dude stops you on the street in Philly and starts with, "Hey, yo, my man," you know he's about to ask you for something. Keep it pushing, bro. The 81 of Chris Morse now running just behind Brian Frauheiger, registering as having crashed. But let's take a look at this here from the interior now. Watch the gyro cam of Chris Morse as he's all over the back bumper of Eddie Smith, who is driven from 14th all the way up here to the lead. You can hear those tires screaming. That car
Eddie
maybe
Smith just able to hold it on that outside and be able to carry all that momentum. So even if Morris charges to the inside, it's not easy to make the pass when he has all that. Eddie Smith has all that momentum on the outside.
No, and I think this is one of those situations where, maybe Smith knows something that Morse doesn't. He's going to wind up cooking Morse's equipment for him. As now Morse tries to knife his way down there. Let's see what happened with Brian as much as I want to see what happened with Brian Frauheiger, we can't take our eyes off a battle for the lead. Frauheiger off track now in the 03 as side by side they go to the inside as the 81. Now on turn 4's exit, they're still duking it out, nearly fender to fender down the front stretch and crossing the start-finish line on lap number 10. Let's take a peek here and see what happened with Brian Frauheiger quick. Frauheiger all by his lonesome, just not able to keep the Ninja Turtles machine between the navigational beacon.
Yeah, that time around it looked like Morris Jr. had the outside line on Eddie Smith and was able to power by him. And now Andy Kurtz looking to the inside of the 87 machine.
Andy Kurtz looking like maybe he's figured out a way to get around the 87. And it looks like maybe Casey Jones thinks that he wants to come along. Let's see what happens as we go on board the helmet cam of Casey Jones. And as Casey takes us through this turn, we can see him peeking just to the inside. He's got his eye on the 48. But he's not going to take his focus off the 87 as we come into the front stretch. My God, this thing is wound up like crazy. He's going to keep his eyes here on the 87, but knows he's not going to make it this time around.
Oh, Eddie Smith with a little touch to the wall there.
Single file go about the front 8. Nope, the front 7. And of course, folks, we talk about the AM and Pro divisions. The AM drivers are all highlighted, of course, by that yellow windshield banner and yellow spoiler on the rear of these machines. We want to thank our friends over at Save22.vet. At Save22, it's an organization dedicated to preventing suicide among veterans, active duty personnel, and first responders. They're a 501c3 organization that support those who have served our nation and communities by listening to their stories and providing unwavering support and ensuring they are never alone or forgotten. Save22.net, you can check them out. And of course, we wouldn't be here without our friends over at Above the Yellow Line. In 2021, Above the Yellow Line with Taylor Kitchen began as a podcast fueled by a passion for motorsports and a desire to build community. What started as a simple idea has grown into something far beyond what she could have imagined. Through this journey, Taylor and her team have not only connected with passionate motorsports fans, but have also formed connections with several inspiring content creators united for their love of the sport. That passion and collaboration led to the creation of ATYL Media, a dynamic team of motorsports content creators dedicated to producing motorsports content that's fresh, informative, and fun. At ATYL Media, we cover everything you love about motorsports, from F1 and IndyCar to NASCAR, short tracks, and even virtual racing. We celebrate the sport's rich history and explore its exciting future and enjoy every moment in between. This is Motorsports Media, your way. And Goat Talk Live, which of course is our podcast from Goat Locker Racing, is held over there on ATYL Media. Andy Kurtz has taken over your race lead. And just that quick, Chris Morse and Eddie Smith are looking at that rear spoiler of the 48.
Yeah, and it looks like their cars they may have pushed each other just a touch too much here at the early going. Andy Kurtz just kind of lagged back and watched these guys go at it. And once he started to see that their times were kind of slipping away from him, he just decided to turn it up a little bit and get by them. And now he's in that fresh, clean air.
Well, and a lot of these drivers, especially at Classic Atlanta like we're at tonight, you're going to see that fresh air play more of a role here than almost anywhere else on the circuit that we travel. We've heard it for decades from people like Jeff Gordon and Kevin Harvick, where the clean air in Atlanta means more here than almost anywhere else. As I see this Papyrus double natural, that 77 of Ryzen Baker, running just ahead of Timothy Wilmus. Everybody really has gotten their act together here tonight, for lack of a better term. With the exception of obviously this situation here, most everybody single file. The 64 of Matt Knight's starting to fall back through, but he may have simply cooked the tires off of that thing, which is incredibly easy to do here. And we were looking at the weather just a little while ago. The track temperature is going up 2 degrees to 94. So the track is loosening up, which means we're going to see some of those speeds, maybe drop just a hair, as these drivers are going to have their hands full in these ARCA machines.
Absolutely. And, tires, they're always an important thing, but certainly here tonight on this rougher surface, they're even more, of an important factor here, as well as track position. You see Andy Kurtz, he gets up to the front, clean air. Christopher Morris, he gets to the front, starts at the front, has that clean air, able to kind of pull away for a while. And then Eddie Smith, also had the clean air, able to fight up there. Those guys kind of burnt their stuff up just a touch, which brings in that tire factor being severely important here tonight.
Without a doubt. And, of course, we want to thank our good friends at Glove Station for sponsoring us every week here in the, in the Goat Locker Racing ARCA Series. Here at Glove Station, we are committed to providing quality gloves and protective gear for a wide range of your daily activities and jobs. From tinkering on home DIYs to working in industrial environments and everything in between, we got you covered. With the endless amounts of safety products on the market, we want to make it effortless for you to find the right protection for your needs. And they, of course, are our primary sponsors. We have our first caution of the night coming out just about where that pit window was going to open. Skylar Daly registering as having crashed. Let's take a peek here and see what may or may not have happened. Oh, jeez. Mark Cofield, I think, just drove into him.
That didn't.
There was a whole lot.
Again.
There's a whole lot to unpack here. So let's start looking from Mark Cofield's perspective. We're going to go on board with Cofield. Now we see Skylar rub the wall. Oh, he came right down in front of him. Oh.
Grabbed the wall, and then it just shot off into Mark Cofield, who was just trying to make his way by there. You see it often, They see him, and honestly, I can't even really fault the 11 for coming off the wall like that, because right where they go into turn 3, there's a bump out there. They were committed to holding it to the wall, and then they hit that little bit of a bump out for the safer barrier, which pushes them down in front of Mark Cofield. So, I got to give props to the 11 there for, keeping it on the wall up until the wall said get off him.
Yeah, the wall kind of
right here
going
into turn 3 right here. Boom, there's the bump out.
Yeah, that's no fun. It looks like the entire field came down with the exception of Warren Clayton. Let's take another look here. There's that's that kick out that you were talking about.
Yeah, it just
he literally, in fact, folks,
it's like going into in the middle of a hockey game, you get that hip check.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna watch this again in slow-mo once they get a little closer here. You can see right here to the left side of your screen, here's the rub of the wall. And right here to the left side, that's where that safer barrier was installed here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And it literally, the wall punted him in front of the 97.
Yeah, like I said, that's just a full-on hockey hip check. And Mark Cofield was the innocent bystander that, that player flew into.
25 laps in the books as the iRacing.com pace car passes the start-finish line and turns the lights off. When we go back, green flag racing, it's going to be AM driver Warren Clayton leading Andy Kirch, Jake Ellingson, Chris Morse Jr., Jonah Colbert, Eddie Smith, Casey Jones, Jeremiah Holt, Devin Smith, and Brandon Wallace. Your top 10, Jeremiah Holt and Devin Smith, your two AM drivers, mixed in there to the top 10. I would have to double check the points, but I assume that Warren Clayton is trying to pick up a bonus point here in the Glove Station Lincoln Tech number 117. If this car is, let's just zoom right in on this thing. This car is all things Goat Locker Racing. Save22.vet, InVets, Lincoln Tech, Glove Station above the yellow line. Anything else? I think that's everybody. I think he's got it all.
Certainly. And he's going to have control over this field, but something to look out for is once they clear that start-finish line, I think Jake Ellingson's going to take a hard left turn, go to the inside of that 117 just because of the fresher tires.
All I know is that if I was the 117, I would be scrambling down below the line onto the apron and saying, "Go around! Go around!" As we come back into the Geico restart zone, Barney waves the flag, and we go back to green flag racing here in Atlanta.
And there he goes.
Oh, jeez!
And gets a door full of, or a nose full to the door of Jamie Libke.
Let's start with
a couple big names there. I think I saw Jake Ellingson.
Let's start here with
Mark Cofield.
We've got a lot to unpack here. Uh-huh. Oh, this is wild.
He got loose, went off track.
He was out of the way. He had nothing to do with this.
Yeah, no, it looked like he had a little bit of a spin to the tire. I don't know if when he shifted up to third or into third gear or fourth gear, depending on where he was at. If it kind of just broke loose, changing gears.
The blimp
so he was out of the way though.
Top here. Let's watch the 99. That's Brandon Wallace. They get bottled up in front of him. Oh,
Casey Jones gets a touch of both of them.
All right, so let's see if we can maybe make a call here. We're going to go back to the 117. We're going to watch this from the blimp perspective because I think I figured it out, or at least might have figured it out. Let's say might have.
Yeah, I mean, what I see is Casey Jones
I think that
gets a hold of the 99 here.
Jake Ellingson shoving the 117 down the front stretch. We were missing this. We didn't see this earlier. We're going to run it back again. Just in case, because... So here we go. Bump, bump, bump. He said, come on, come on, come on. Go, 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 go. The top line gets going. The 27 gets himself loose. The 31 goes to a void. The 117 is loose as a goose. Mm-hmm. This all started from the 27 shoving the 117. So Jake Ellingson a little impatient, if you will. Don't get me wrong. You want to get away from that driver as fast as possible. But this may not have been the way to do it.
Oh, he stays relatively clean from that. Oh, never mind. Just as I said that was when the 86 came piling into him.
Well, we're gonna look at this from one more perspective here at the 27 as we go to bring it back, and we're gonna see if we can maybe lock this in to some degree. They're all idle. They're idle. He's already into his bumper because we can see that just from the iRacing perspective. Yeah, it was just everybody started to try to avoid the 27 and the 117, and they collected themselves. Oof. Well, that's rough. We've now had 2 back-to-back cautions here in just a couple of laps, as we're nearly halfway. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. D. Calvert 321 says, good evening. Wish he was in this race, but it looks like so much fun. Rusty Rafferty saying he hates that for Mark, but it's a top-notch breakdown of what happened. That's all you, Jordan.
Well, I'm sorry I was watching the restart. I zoned in on that because I didn't expect Andy Kurtz to get such a good jump there.
No, Rusty was saying the first caution that you were breaking down, that you caught that safer barrier deal. He said that was a top-notch breakdown. Look at you getting compliments.
Well, the only reason it's a top-notch breakdown is because the amount of times that I've done it myself, which is an unfortunate thing. I can break down next just because I've been in so many.
Feels right.
I found my calling.
Yeah, in the broadcast booth and not offending other people. Stop bothering the nice people and sit with your boy up here. It'll be fine. Andy Kurtz leads the way. He's opening up about a 4/10 of a second, nearly 4/10 of a second gap over Chris Morse. Jeremiah Holt, now your top-running AM driver. He's just about a full second back, but watch the 808 of Brett Bieber as Bieber gets a run here on the high side and slides back in front of Jonah Colbert. As Bieber and Colbert are right between a bunch of AM drivers, that's got to be a little nerve-wracking.
Oh, nice run by Bieber there off that corner. Is going to be able to possibly clear Holt going into the turn. Not fully quite able to pass it, but he should have the momentum coming off the corner to possibly get up alongside Eddie Smith. I am noticing they're getting a lot bigger of a run off of turn 2 with running the high side. It's almost like it's just a little bit different of an exit there for turn 2, where they just kind of get a little bit more of a send-off to get up to the rear bumper of the car in front of them. See this time by, he's going to just close a couple tenths there, or a couple hundredths there.
Sean Pope, McCarthy, and Ryzen Baker here in the double natural. They go drag racing out of turn 4 and back onto the front stretch. The 77 now peaks to the inside of the 9 in the Me machine.
Who's ME?
Yeah, you right. There's a cougar. There's a cougar on the front of the car.
I know there's a cougar in the car. I put it there.
Andy Kurtz being challenged for the lead. The 81 of Chris Morse comes to the outside. My God. He came, he saw, he conquered. And Chris Morse Jr. just flew past Andy Kurtz.
Yeah, he used that momentum on the high side, and it flies by. But from what I'm noticing, I think when you run that higher side, I think it actually wears the tires a little quicker. Maybe it's not quite as gripped up, rubbered up. I think if it gets a good, decent amount of rubber down, it might be able to, hang on to the tires a little bit more as we get later into this thing. But, certainly you got to have people run up there to rubber it in. So only time will tell.
As we work here on lap number 37 of 80, we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight over on the youtube.com feed. And, of course, let us know who you're cheering for and what you're watching on the track tonight, as Chris Morse Jr. is your race leader for the time being. We say for the time being because in a place like this, that can change in the blink of an eye. The 81, who is your pole sitter, he is your Jam Printing and Promotions pole sitter, controlling it for the time being.
Yeah, and Andy Kurtz, though, he's not letting him get too far away. He's able to stay within 0.3 of a second, this go around. As I say that, he falls to 4, but staying within that half-second mark. And I think, as Christopher Morris runs these laps, we saw him have to kind of really push to get up there past Andy. So, might see Andy be able to reel him back in probably about 10 or so laps here. But again, it's another one of those things. It's only time will tell, how much Christopher Morris is actually using here. And I mean, Christopher Morris Jr. has just been on a dominant season so far. I mean, 3 wins on the season, especially, that's half the race wins here so far. We're on, race number, or after 6 weeks. So, I mean, he's been on a dominant run. It's going to be really hard to really over jump the 81 here. And I mean, when someone is that dominant, it's almost like a Kyle Busch type season where all he is up front nonstop, and the races he's lost is just down to a caution or two, a strategy change that didn't quite work out the way because he expected a caution or he expected it to run green. But I mean, all in all, that 81 machine has been absolutely dominant this season.
Yeah, and places like Atlanta, they can generate drivers like that. I mean, Chris Morris Jr. right now, the Pied Piper of the Peach State, as we watch Jamie Libke and Sean Pope McCarthy trading paint back here. Looking to the inside is Jamie Libke as he looks just around the corner here. My God. 42 laps in the books. They all came down on about lap 24 or 28. At least up here in the top 10, looks like everything from 24 to 28. So we're somewhere in and around probably that next window getting ready to crack open here. I would say somewhere between 45 and 50. But Jamie Libke gets around the 9 of Sean Pope McCarthy. And things starting to get strung out here, which isn't a bad thing, as Brett Bieber gets himself up into the podium position. He did last night. Now we get to see if he can pull it off again, as he has gotten himself by Eddie Smith in the 87 and puts Andy Kurtz in the crosshairs, as Kurtz is still trying to chase Chris Morris down.
Yeah, again, he's still kind of staying within that half a second, so I wonder if maybe Andy's saving just a touch, or if Chris Morris is even saving just a touch there too as well, and they're kind of equalized for the time being. And once you start to get close to that pit windows, when you decide to kind of throw it all to the wind and try to burn up what's left, try to gain any kind of slight advantages you can, is Andy Kurtz has brought it to within 0.4 of a second now.
It's funny that you should say it just that way. I mean, one of the things that I consider is the fact that I'm the kind of driver where I would wind up running my tail off at the beginning of the run because I am terrible on old tires.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the hardest things to do in racing is figuring out what's best. I mean, you could come out here and do a little bit of tire saving. You'll give up a couple of spots to guys who are going to run harder than you, and you just have to hope that you pick the right time to go. That when you hit that point where you can no longer drive that car the way that you want to, you're kind of maximize your positioning. You just want to hope that you can gain back what you gave up, and maybe even a couple tenths of a second, and have a phenomenal pit stop and kind of try to jump a driver or two with the pit stop. Track positioning is absolutely key in every race, but especially here with how quickly the tires seem to kind of fall off.
Going on board now with Brandon Wallace out of Odessa. He's chasing down Ryzen Baker. And Baker here in his debut race with the ARCA series, an AM driver himself. He doesn't even have spots yet, as he doesn't even have the yellow spoiler on there yet. Here in the double natural, I mean, he's really holding his own. Baker up 12 positions from where he had qualified earlier tonight in 20th. So, putting on a great show for his first time out in the ARCA Series. Glad to see him. And, of course, we want to welcome him to the ARCA Series, while Jeremiah Holt and Brett Bieber are now exchanging positions. Watch the 31 of Jonah Colbert, kind of observing from behind, keeping a cool head about him, as the 31 drafts right up to the rear bumper of the 808, and now he gets ready to throw one in. Oh, Bieber catches the outside wall. He's going to have no choice.
It's one of those things, I think maybe the 31 being to the inside of him, pulling a little bit of air off of that rear spoiler, kind of made that car a little uneasy going into the corner, and Brett just kind of touching the wall a touch there and happened to kind of back her down, but gather himself again.
And folks, this is kind of a view that we don't get to see on TV very often, of course, just because this is the magic of iRacing. But, you're watching this wheel bounce up and down on the suspension. You don't realize how bouncy these racetracks are. On TV they look smooth, they look clean, they look wonderful. But, I mean, you're watching a lot of these drivers put their bodies through just absolute mayhem in the cockpit. I mean, you can even watch the hands here. Bieber trying to hold a pretty wheel coming through turn 2, but this thing is loose as a goose on Christmas.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that, again, you don't really see from outside of the car. And, I mean, Brett Bieber right there is probably that's a top-notch, look at the wheel. That's someone who knows how to run these older tracks, without a doubt. Someone like me would be kind of back and forth with the wheel, looking like I'm trying to cut a log in half, sawing at the wheel.
Yeah, sawing at the wheel like you've got a butter knife in your hands. And and here's the thing, folks. We talk about this, so often that we're broadcasters. We're up here in the booth, but we've also been racers. We've sat behind the wheel. And there's so much going on, especially in these ARCA cars. And they have a ton of torque at the rear end. And that rear end housing by the end of this race is screaming. For what these guys do and how they're able to pull this one off. Oh, look at that. The old Taurus paint scheme. I love it. The Ford Taurus, something that every old person had after the LTD was discontinued. The 31 of Jonah Colbert looks to the inside of the 73 of Jeremiah Holt and now slides on by. My grandfather had the 2002 Taurus with the weird little, they looked slanty. They had like slanty headlights.
Yeah, I remember we had one of those, one of the older first run of the Taurus, like, I want to say like 90s maybe? I'm not 100%.
92 or 93, the Taurus made its first appearance, and it came in three body styles. You could get it in coupe, sedan, or station wagon.
Yeah, we had a sedan.
Yeah, I think most
A
people got the sedan or the sedan. You know what? But that was a weird. You know what? The early '90s were a weird time for body styles. Oh, right, here we go. Cliff Adams looks to the inside. He's got the 99 of Brandon Wallace to the high side. And all of a sudden, they're going to duke it out, but the 98 going to be the victor of this battle here as these two AM drivers
don't
go to
too
take
soon,
one another. Oh,
Wallace
geez.
Wallace is still there.
John Force style into turn 3, and now the 98 going to secure that spot away. The early and mid-90s were weird for chassis in cars, in regular plain Jane street cars. The Lumina, the Chevy Lumina, you could get it in a coupe, a sedan, a minivan, and or you could get it like with a rag top. I feel like the minivan was the weirdest transition there. Just like the Taurus, you could get in coupe, sedan, or station wagon. Station wagon was simply a minivan with doors, with swingy doors.
Well, and then you have the weird, I don't know, experiment that the Explorer had through the mid 2000s, where
the Sport Track.
It was an SUV, and then it was also a mini truck.
Yeah, it was the Explorer Sport Track.
Yeah, I always thought that was an odd one.
You would think that it's an odd one, but to look at it, what that was it was a competition. It was supposed to be competition for the Dakota with the club cab. When Dodge went with the club cab and essentially made it a half naked Durango. As pit stops are underway here with 24 laps to go. Cliff Adams, Warren Clayton, Timothy Wilmus, Brandon Wallace, and Devin Smith, they're all down. Josh Unger, Casey Jones, they're down.
Yeah, and for some of these guys that are coming now, this might actually, depending on what, the front pack does, if they stay out long enough, these guys are going to be able to kind of make up some ground with fresher tires, depending on how hard they push. Can grab a couple of spots here for sure. It's always nice to be the first guy to make the call, as long as you make it at the right time, which you never know the right time until the end of the race, depending on where you finish. But being able to kind of run down, see the time that you gain, and see how it works for you. The worst is when you pit one lap and then the leader comes the lap after you. You're kind of like, that didn't work the way I wanted.
And it's one of those where you want to do this smart, as Eddie Smith, Jonah Colbert, and Jeremiah Holt all come down.
Well, that's the thing. You want to do it smart, but I'm not. So
we know it's fine. We still love it. But while these drivers with 22 laps to go are going to make their green flag pit stops, we're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. You're watching the Glove Station ARCA series from Goat Locker Racing live on Sim Racing Media.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan? Michigan.
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh my
and to the
goodness.
line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. We want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight for the Glove Station ARCA series on Goat Locker Racing. You're watching Sim Racing Media live on YouTube.com. Dave Riegel and Jordan Brockell with you in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. As we are all of a sudden in the twilight of this race, we had a couple of cautions earlier on tonight, and they seem to have gotten themselves all cleaned up. And now with 15 laps to go, Eddie Smith in the Tide Ride is your race leader. He's followed by Chris Morris, Brett Bieber, Jonah Colbert, and Jeremiah Holt. That's your top 5. And Jeremiah Holt just crawled into the top 4. He is your highest running AM driver. Of course, in the ARCA series, we have Pro and AM divisions. So right now we're watching Jeremiah Holt get ready to notch himself another win on the season, as he's already got one.
Yeah, and I mean, if things stay the way it is, I mean, we're going to see one of these two drivers notch themselves a win. Another win on this season. It would be Christopher Morris's 4th, Eddie Smith's 2nd, and Christopher Morris all over that back bump. 7 machine right now.
I have to say, I don't think it's in the cards tonight to have a finish like we did in the Truck Series last night at Las Vegas. That
never say never,
folks. If you didn't get a chance to watch live last night, the InVets Truck Series from Goat Locker Racing, you need to go back in our YouTube folder and check out the Truck Series from last night.
Oh, absolutely! That was a phenomenal fit. Oh, Eddie Smith!
Oh, the 87 rubs the wall, and Chris Morse just trots on by. And the 87 just came back angry.
I was about to say, I was like, what's that going to do to the 87 machine? But it looks like it's just going to fuel him to go even harder here as he goes to the side of 81 machine of Christopher Morris Jr., and he's going to run him up the track. Not giving an inch with just 11 laps to go here at the line.
He's an angry elf.
Certainly running with everything that he's got right now. And trying to, I mean, they're going to leave every ounce of rubber that's on these tires out there and probably leave a couple pieces of sheet metal out there as well before we get to the end of this thing.
That one of your two closest battles on the racetrack. Also, Jeremiah Holt and Jonah Colbert separated by less than 0.2 of a second, as the 73 of Holt is trying to hold off the pro driver here in the 31 machine. And here's the thing. There's a lot more into this, because you're an AM driver, you're trying to hold off a pro driver, you're trying to earn your way up into the pro ranks. And that's where Jeremiah Holt is right now. He's really, if it wouldn't be for the fact that, at this point he's in a battle for, AM points, I would say promote this man right now.
I'm with you 100%. The only reason I would say not to is just because I want him to be the first AM winner, overall winner. And I believe that if there's going to be a man to do it, it's going to be the 73 of Jeremiah Holt, because he's just been so strong all season long. He's been, again, in the top 5. We've seen him in the top 3 most of every race, fighting for position. And, I would love to hit for him to be that guy that's that AM winner to jump up there and steal a win from these pro drivers. Andy Kurtz come flying through. He's going to get a 2-for-1 special here.
And what gets more and more interesting here is, we're watching Brandon Wallace here in the 99, and we see these 4 drivers in the row, the 98, the 99, and the 64, and of course the 64 letting Brett Bieber get away from him as the 48 now, which is a lap car. That's Andy Kurtz. He's kind of a non-factor here. At this point, he'd be more of a spoiler. But the 98 and the 99 seem to have some kind of a magnetic field between them. They're almost always next to each other tonight, at least for the last several times that I've peeked over there. There they are, as we're 8 laps to go here. Oh, the double natural of Ryzen Baker gets right underneath the 98 of Cliff Adams, blows his doors clear off, and now Baker puts Knights in his crosshairs, and the 64 of Matt Knights running right now in 6th position. He's trying to get himself a nice little AM podium as the Virginia Beach, Virginia native runs just ahead of the double natural of Rising Baker. You know, I can only imagine.
I was going to say, it looked like he plowed for just a moment there, and this double 7 is able to kind of jump on that there.
Here's the fun one. Eddie Smith and Chris Morse Jr. are separated by a quarter of a second. They have 5 seconds way back to Jonah Colbert here.
Yeah, like I said, those two are just leaving every ounce of rubber that's left in those tires out on the track.
Jonah Colbert from Oklahoma City, Apex Season 2 champion, running in 3rd position right now. Eddie Smith up 12 from where he had begun the evening. But, you know, I really think that we're at a point tonight where everybody pretty much has their bed made, and now it's just, you know, a waiting game. Chris Morse leads the way. He was our Jam Printing and Promotions pole winner, and he's still looking finger-licking good, leading the way here with 5 to go as we've got a nickel left.
Yeah, the only thing the only thing I was going to say is we see that the lap traffic might come into play here with just these 4 laps to go.
We want to thank all of you for tuning into the Glove Station ARCA series on Goat Locker Racing here on Sim Racing Media. And here at Glove Station, we're committed to providing quality gloves and protective gear for a wide range of your daily activities and jobs. From tinkering on home DIYs to working in industrial environments and everything in between, we've got you covered. With the endless amounts of safety products on the market, we want to make it effortless for you to find the right protection for your needs. And they, of course, are our primary sponsor here on Monday nights, as with 4 laps to go, the 87 of Eddie Smith starts to sniff the tailpipe of the 81. And we also want to check in with our good friends over here at Jam Printing and Promotions. Of course, we had mentioned that Chris Morse is the Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award winner. And, you know, first of all, we thank them for that. And out of Plainfield, Indiana, they are local and veteran certified, and when they do well, they can do more good in the community. Since forming in 2013, JAM has contributed to printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations. And side by side, we will get back to that. They've been with Goat Locker since the very beginning, but with the popsicle sticks in the air, 2 laps to go, Chris Morse and Eddie Smith decide to crank it up to crazy. I didn't think we were going to see this 2 nights in a row, but we may, as now the 87 drifts right underneath. They make contact coming out of 4, and they're all but rubbing. Oh, Jesus! The 87 nearly sideways. They're bumping back to the line. The popsicle sticks go down. The white flag is in the air, and we're racing back to checkers. The 87 leads the 81 now, as he has let Chris Morse have just about enough leash. And now Chris Morse wants to get the gravy out and make the KFC chicken bowl one more time down the backstretch, as all of a sudden Eddie Smith is trying to get his tide ride here on the high side. What a finish we're going to have here tonight, folks. With the white flag in the air, we can see, oh, the 87 rubs the wall. The 81 against the wall as well. The 81 comes cockeyed across the start-finish line, and Eddie Smith picks up the W tonight from the pole position. Chris Morse picks up the win tonight from pole position. Eddie Smith finishes in 2nd, Jonah Colbert in 3rd, and our AM winner tonight, Jeremiah Holt. 1, 2, 3, 4 they are. Brett Bieber missing the podium by just 2 spots, but Chris Morse, let's watch this one more time. Holy crap, 2 nights in a row, fantastic finishes in the Goat Locker Racing family.
Phenomenal finishes.
Watch these guys here from the drone cam. The 81 of Chris Morse looks to the inside. He thinks he's got himself all locked up, and at this point he kind of does. The 87 rubs the wall. The 81 gets against him and loose. They basically ride the wall as the 81 and the 87 both come cockeyed across the line.
Yeah, it looked like Eddie Smith tried to push as hard as he could off that corner there, trying to carry every ounce of momentum, hoping it would propel him by the 81, just a touch bit too much throttle. And, I mean, maybe it was of just maybe old tires kind of plowed just a touch. He grabs that wall, and it was over from there.
What a finish we have. That's 2 nights in a row. I mean, listen, these guys just get better and better, Jordan. I can't stress that enough. And, you know, Chris Morse picks up another win here in the series. And, I mean, after everything that we've seen this season so far, Chris Morse notches the 4th win and just kind of ensconces himself into the lead for the pro drivers as Chris Morse, our pro driver and, of course, Jam Printing and Promotions pole sitter, burns it down here on the front stretch. Just waiting for these guys to get into the chat. Waiting for them to come into the waiting room. Chris Morse Jr., Eddie Smith, Jonah Colbert, and Jeremiah Holt, your AM driver, as Chris Morse Jr. is our pro winner, as Jeremiah Holt also picking up another win. So Jeremiah Holt now with 2 wins in the AM division, 4 for Chris Morse Jr. It doesn't get much better than this. Let's go ahead and have a quick chat with him. Our race winner, Chris Morse. It's Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy, brother?
I got you guys.
Buddy, listen, a great finish to tonight's race. I didn't think that that we could top last night's finish in the truck series, but you guys came as close as anybody could have, to coming across the line cockeyed like the truck series did last night. What a great run. Obviously, the 81 was finger-licking good. What was your secret sauce tonight?
I just love Atlanta. I love old, worn-out tracks. You know what I mean? And I guess iRacing is getting rid of this version of the ARCA car, and I've been depressed since I read that because it's my favorite car, besides maybe the Gen 4 version of it. So I really wanted this one tonight because I think next week at Watkins Glen is our last one, and I don't think I'm winning that one. So I really wanted this one. It was a great race with Eddie. I hope I haven't seen the replay. I hope I didn't just shove him in the wall. I sent it in there as hard as I could, and I tried to give him enough room, and then it doesn't appear that I did. So I got to go back and watch that.
We're going to watch that. We're going to watch that right now because we didn't see anything ill-fated. I mean, you came here on the inside of Eddie, and I mean, Eddie was holding his ground up high, and he kind of kissed the wall early, and he bounced off and into you. So I know that you didn't send him up there into the wall.
Okay, well, I feel better then because I thought he was right on me, and I figured he was going to hold me down. And don't get me wrong, I was going to feed him up to the wall like Kyle Larson. I felt like he had a couple chances to do that to me without us wrecking, especially the lap before. So I mean, I was going to run him tight, but I didn't want to wreck him. And then next thing I knew, I was going across his nose. So I figured I must have just stuffed him in the wall. I felt terrible, but that makes me feel way better.
Well, this old track did what this old track does best, and that was put on a great show tonight. For all those folks at home, who do you need to thank? And, of course, who do you need to tip your helmet to for helping you get it done on the 81 tonight?
Man, I got to thank the Love Station for sponsoring the series, Lincoln Tech, Save 22, Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs, you guys for broadcasting the race. They're always fun to listen to and go back and kind of pick through. I always learn stuff because I don't have like a spotter or nothing like that, right? So whether I'm watching it live or I just go back and look, I can kind of see what people are doing or how the race is unfolding. And, Pat, Jamie, everybody who puts the league together. I've said it before, it's just so much fun to race with these guys. And I mean, if a finish like that doesn't tell you that we're having fun, I don't know what does.
My man, yeah, listen, it definitely shows that everybody out here is having a lot of fun. I love calling you guys and seeing all of these races, week in and week out. I'm actually a little sad that in a couple of weeks I'm going to be on vacation and I'm going to miss a couple of races, but I can't wait to get back after that vacation. So, listen, man, congratulations on win number 4 of the season, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you, as that's the voice of our race winner, Chris Morse Jr., as Eddie Smith out of Brandon, Missouri, should be up now, and I think that you have him down on pit road, Jordan.
Eddie Smith, it's Jordan up in the booth. You got a copy, brother?
What's going on? How y'all doing?
Doing well, man. I mean, you guys are putting on phenomenal finishes each and every week, and you keep Dave over here daggone near having a heart attack each and every week.
Yeah, man, we're not good for weak hearts. We need to all start exercising if we're gonna watch this series. I'll tell you.
Exercise is a cuss word to me.
Yeah, I need to exercise to be driving in it too, because holy cow, I'm about the same way.
I hear you. So early on in the race, I mean, first turn, first lap, I saw you jump to that high side, and I saw you work that high side a lot throughout the night, and you were able to use it to your advantage for a majority of the race here. Was it just a little bit more, comfortable to you? Were you able to find a little bit more grip up there? How did that work?
Well, I hit my second lap. I hit the wall, and so I negated my qualifying effort. So I started, I think, in the 15th or something, and so I needed spots quickly. These races can go green, and I knew that guys would be saving pretty hard. So I said, well, I'll just get up on that outside line, and I'll make up a bunch of spots. I just didn't expect everybody to be saving so much that I'd be able to pass 5 or 6 cars, in each turn. And so got up to the front, decided to just kind of hammer down, see how it went, burn them up, drop back to about 5th before that caution, and then just maintained it from there. Taking lessons from that first little stage and applying it there to the final bits.
Yeah, and I mean, you certainly made it work really well. I mean, I think it was one of the best Highline riders I saw tonight. Next week, though, you have to figure out how to turn right as well. And I'm just wondering, are we going to see Eddie Smith continue to, run up front when we have to turn right?
What about that finish? We ain't gonna talk about the finish. We
there,
gave y'all the goods, and you want to talk about road courses? You gotta be kidding
there,
me,
buddy.
We're not talking about no damn road course. I'm in control now. I'm doing the interview. Eddie, what do you think about that finish with Chris Morse, where y'all banged doors and knocked down damn
doors,
walls,
the wall, and everything else in between?
Yeah.
I got it. I got you.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. And so
that's why they call me number one.
Well, I tell you, it's such a pleasure to race around people that you can bang doors with and not get upset. And there was a little bit of netcode, but I no doubt Larsoned him, sort of away off of 4 coming to the white. I just hammered down. I wasn't trying to push him up into the wall, and he gets into it, and I got some right front damage, unfortunately. And so coming off of 2 where I'd been better, I didn't quite have the run I needed. He got to my inside, and then 3 and 4, I just made a mistake. I just got on the gas too soon. I didn't need to do that, and got up into the wall. I'm just happy that he didn't wreck. No matter what happened off 4, I was going to make sure he won the race, or I didn't finish ahead of him because I didn't want to wreck him. But I'm glad he got back to the start-finish line, and we both kind of kept it together. Just incredible race with Chris Morse there. Just a blast.
Well, certainly was.
The road courses are cool too.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly a blast to watch from up here. I mean, you guys put on, like I said, absolute amazing finishes each and every week here, and look forward to as we get closer to this playoff here, seeing you guys get a little bit more rough and tough. And like you said, you guys run clean but bump when you need to, and nobody has hurt feelings at the end of it. So, ton of fun to watch, and certainly there's some guys that you got to thank for tonight's performance, bro.
Yeah, thank y'all for broadcasting. We really appreciate y'all, and I got to thank Jampring Promotions. They've been around for a long time. Just an awesome sponsor. They make incredible stuff for Goat Locker. I got to thank Glove Station and y'all, of course, and then Alexander PCs for all they do, and all the teammates over there at Bandits. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, we appreciate your time, brother, and maybe we'll be catching on you on the next one.
See ya.
That the voice of Eddie Smith, our second step on the podium tonight. And third up here in the batting order is Jonah Colbert. And Jonah Colbert, driver the number 31 out of Oklahoma City. Hey, Jonah, it's Dave up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, what's going on, Dave?
I mean, listen, you tell me what's going on. There was about 4.5 seconds between you and Eddie Smith, but, you were duking it out with everybody else and their cousin tonight, it seemed. Where was the traffic coming from, and how did you find yourself finally getting through everybody, and staying away to finish here on the third step?
Man, I don't know. I thought I was saving tire the first run, and I burned them up. I thought I saved tire the second run, and I burned them up. The third run, I think I finally figured it out, but there was some incidents on a restart or something where a bunch of people spun out, and it took out a bunch of my competitors. So the guys that are about my speed got wiped out from that. So that helped me a lot. And then it was just, after that, it was just between me, Brett, and Jeremiah there. And I guess his crew decided to take their time, eat some ice cream while he was getting a pit stop, and took him a while. And I came out of the pits way ahead of him. And that was pretty much all she wrote. And just had to battle Brett there for a little bit. And yeah, came away third. It was a good night.
Yeah, I mean, any night that you can put on this kind of competition like we see here is incredible. I mean, last night we saw a great finish at the end of the Truck Series race, the InVets Truck Series race, and tonight we got to see an incredible finish here at the end of the ARCA Series. I mean, you guys have figured out a way to kind of lull us into nice and, comfy positions here. Next thing you know, I'm standing up, screaming at the computer monitor. It's like everybody knows just when to crank the volume to insanity.
Yeah, that finish was pretty crazy. I watched the race last night, and I was standing up for that one. I was glad to see. I think it was Travis win that one, and then tonight, I'm rooting for Eddie because that's my buddy, and he goes up there and slams into the wall, and I thought he had him, but he just gassed up too soon, I guess. And hell of a finish though. It was cool to watch from my seat. So.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, listen, before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank and who helped you get it done on the 31 team tonight?
First off, I want to thank Sooner Scale for letting me, run their logos on the car tonight. This is an old throwback back to like NASCAR 1 days whenever I used to paint cars and race online. After that, we'd go give it to iRacing, Above the Yellow Line, Sim Motion, of course, Glove Station, and Sim Racing Media. You guys do a good job of broadcasting this. Be interested to go back and watch the reaction to that finish and see how hyped you guys get. So.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, congrats on the P3 finish. We appreciate you tuning in, of course, over on YouTube and checking us out after the race. So thank you, sir, and we will see you next week.
See you.
And finally here, I think you've got him, Jordan, our AM winner tonight, Jeremiah Holt, notching another win on his belt.
Jeremiah Holt, you got a copy?
I do.
Yeah, well, so you're on a little bit of a roll here, brother.
I know. After I had a little loose there off the first couple laps, I didn't know if I was going to be able to recover. But what I did, Andy Kurtz got under me, and I thought the top would hold me, but it didn't. So I had to do a little bit of recovery.
So I've been saying this pretty much each and every week. You're a phenomenal racer. You're always within that, top three, if not top three, certainly top five, constantly up there fighting with all of these pro guys, giving them a run for their money. I firmly, fully believe that, you have the potential to be the first overall winner as an amateur driver. I mean, what do you think it's going to take? What may be missing from, your performances that you could, find to get up there and race for that race win?
I've got to get through the first few laps without getting loose, not pushing too hard right off the bat, and tire management. That's the biggest things I battle. I think if I can get through those, and you have to have a little bit of luck getting through some of the cautions, but if I can get through that and make every race, I think I stand a shot at least a top three. This is a tough group. Even the amateur group, they're competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's racing all throughout this field, and I like I said, I definitely think you have the potential to be that first overall winner as an AM driver. And I pull for you like I would a Chase Elliott each and every week. So
yeah, well, thank you.
It's just you kind of develop some guys that you pull for up here in the booth. You try to stay unbiased, but I can't help it.
Well, I appreciate that. Eddie kind of coaches us a little bit. So in Discord, we've got a few of the pro guys in there with us and Eddie doesn't really coach, but I listen. He's like, hey, these guys get fast and then they burn their tires up. And so I'm listening, I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy right now. What have I got to do to change and get better?
Certainly, and it's crazy to see how this field continues to tighten up each and every week, and certainly there's a couple of guys on top of that help you get things done each and every week.
There is definitely Glove Station's making it happen in this series. Lincoln Tech, Save 22, and the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs. It's good stuff. They make it possible for us.
Well, we certainly. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Certainly appreciate your time, man, and maybe we'll be catching you on a couple more here soon.
Thank you. I hope so.
Thank you, as always, to Jordan Brockel for an exciting interview time, and, of course, myself and all of these drivers. I'll tell you what, man, every week we get nothing but the best from these drivers, and really, realistically, they deserve that from us, too. And we appreciate everybody tuning in and making us a part of their evening and hanging out with us for, literally a little bit more than an hour here tonight. And to me, this is like the best couple hours of the week on the iRacing.com servers.
Oh, 110%. You don't see racing this close and clean. Yes, they bump. Yes, they rub. That's racing. All know that, but certainly, I mean, the entire race, they're clean, they're fast, they're finding ways around the track that you don't normally see. So I absolutely love it.
Without a doubt. And before we get out of here tonight, let's take one final look at our results from this evening as Chris Morris Jr. picks up another win in the Glove Station ARCA Series. He's joined on the podium by Eddie Smith and Jonah Colbert. Our AM winner tonight is Jeremiah Holt, and he finishes in 4th. Brett Bieber rounds out your top 5. Ryzen Baker, Cliff Adams, Matt Knights, Brandon Wallace, and Timothy Wilmus, they make up your top 10, while Devin Smith and Jamie Libke finish 11th and 12th. Alan Smith and Chuck Pegleg Feltz finish 13th and 14th, while Ricky Sisk and Jake Ellingson come home in 15th and 16th. 17th goes to Andy Kurtz, while Skylar Daly finishes 18th, while Warren Clayton and Sean Pope McCarthy round out your top 20. Finishing here in 21st is Josh Unger, while Dakota Cole and Casey Jones come home 23rd and 22nd. Mark Cofield and Brian Frauheiger round out the rest of your field, as Nicholas Gibson did not take the start tonight, so Frauheiger going to have to finish dead last. And unfortunately, as we say every week, somebody had to do it, and this week it was Brian. And I'll tell you what, man, what a great finish we had to this race tonight. These guys put on one heck of a show. I mean, you can look all over iRacing.com, but you're not going to find a better group of human beings and a better group of racers than right here.
No, absolutely not. I mean, just like in the interview with Eddie Smith, you saw him. He had to mess with me a little bit, have some good fun, some laughs. So, I mean, it's a great, wonderful group of people, and, you start to, as this season goes on with each and every one of these guys and how much we talk to them, starts to be like they're, really close friends, almost daggone near like family. I mean, I feel like saying friends is an understatement. This whole series is pretty much one big family.
It really is. Well, listen, folks, we want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight as we get ready to get on out of here. And for myself, Dave Regal, and my broadcast partner extraordinaire, Mr. Jordan Brockel, we want to thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us wherever you may be and however you may be listening. And, of course, tomorrow and every day as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.